In this podcast episode, Alex West, a retired Navy SEAL and former member of SEAL Team 6, shares an extensive and deeply personal account of his life, military career, and post-service journey. The discussion covers his upbringing in Africa, his path to becoming a SEAL, multiple combat deployments, including his role in the mission to kill Osama bin Laden, and the profound impacts of war on his mental health. West also discusses his transition to becoming a mental health therapist specializing in trauma, his advocacy for veterans through adaptive surfing and plant medicine therapies, and the ongoing work to support the veteran community. Alex West was born in Laden, South Africa, and spent his early childhood in a small African kingdom called Lutu, a home for the African National Congress during apartheid. His parents, both Americans, his father from Erie, Pennsylvania, and mother from Pittsburgh, were engaged in humanitarian and educational work overseas. His father worked with the World Bank focused on clean drinking water, and his mother was a school teacher. The family moved frequently between Africa and the United States, also living in Cairo, Egypt, immersing West in diverse multicultural environments that influenced his worldview of embracing different cultures without judgment. Despite the enriching international upbringing, West experienced significant challenges at home, particularly related to his father's Vietnam War trauma and resulting alcoholism, alongside the divorce of his parents when he was 13. These early struggles formed the foundation for West's later passion for mental health and helping others. Inspired in part by his father's military service and a deep desire to prove his own worth beyond family struggles, West chose to join the Navy at the age of 17. His decision was influenced by hearing stories about SEAL teams and special forces, along with the influence of his cousin, Pete Scoble, who was already a SEAL. Despite his mother's apprehensions, West was determined to chart his own path. This decision also reflected a complicated relationship with his father, where West sought both approval and a way to escape the shadows of his turbulent home life. His early joining age set the tone for his military trajectory, allowing him to become one of the youngest to enter specialized training pipelines later on. West recounts the difficulty of basic underwater demolition SEAL (BUD-S) training, emphasizing the intense physical and mental challenges posed by the famously grueling Hell Week and phases involving cold water exposure and dive qualifications. At 18, he felt intimidated by the experience, surrounded by more physically developed and confident candidates, but relied on a mindset of breaking the ordeal into manageable steps, such as making it to the next meal, to persevere. Despite some setbacks, including being rolled to repeat certain training sequences, West completed BUD-S and gained foundational skills that would underpin his future operational success. Upon completion of BUD-DS, West was assigned to SEAL Team 3 in San Diego, though he initially desired to be at Little Creek on the East Coast. He quickly found mentorship in his platoon chief, a former DEVGRU operator, who encouraged him toward higher aspirations, including screening for development group. His first deployments included a humanitarian mission to East Timor and operations in Afghanistan and Iraq in the early 2000s, during which he gained combat experience and refined his skills. West highlights the evolving nature of warfare during this period, contrasting the early years of the GOT with later, more prolonged and complicated missions, noting how tactics, technology, and warrior culture transformed over the decade. Alex's acceptance into DEVGRU at age 23 marked him as one of the youngest to enter this elite unit, breaking traditional expectations which favored more senior candidates. This made him somewhat of a case study in their efforts to integrate younger talent earlier into specialized missions. Training at DEVGRU was more precise and intense than previous SEAL experiences, emphasizing close-quarters battle, live fire drills, and flawless execution. Despite some initial resistance from instructors who questioned his youth and experience, West adapted and thrived, benefiting from an intense, train-hard culture. He deployed multiple times with DEVGRU, often integrating with other special operations forces, including Delta Force, Rangers, and international units. He shares stories of camaraderie and loss inside high-risk missions, including his exchange with Delta Force in 2005, where he forged a brotherhood with teammates like Bob Hahn, who was killed during combat operations. a loss that profoundly affected West's mental health and sense of purpose. West provides a detailed and compelling recollection of his involvement in Operation Neptune's Spear in 2011, leading the assault team that fast-roped into the compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan. He describes the intense secrecy and buildup leading to the mission, including the tense planning sessions, the unique assembly of hand-picked operators, and the preparation challenges, such as the helicopter crash caused by the hot rotor wash reflecting off compound walls, a contingency they had trained poorly for due to the substitution of a chain-link fence in rehearsal. West narrates being the first assaulter through the back door, engaging and killing a courier despite the presence of a pregnant woman acting as a human shield and witnessing the emotional moment of seeing a young girl inside the compound. The raid's operational success was marred by injuries, equipment loss, and the emotional weight of warfare's collateral damage. Afterward, West recalls the palpable sense of accomplishment tempered by exhaustion and the somber reality of war. He also details the personal meeting with President Obama and the gravity of having contributed to the mission's success. Following the high of the bin Laden raid, West's world shifted dramatically with the loss of Extortion 17, a helicopter carrying 30 operators, including many from DEVGRU, crashing during a mission in Afghanistan. This event represented the greatest loss of life in SEAL history and deeply affected West and the community. He recounts the emotional toll of losing close friends, including Rob Reeves and others, and the difficulty of continuing to deploy and lead while grappling with grief, trauma, and increasing mental health struggles. This period marked a turning point, as West began experiencing suicidal ideations and deep questioning about the purpose of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, especially after the early victories, such as the bin Laden mission. West ultimately decided to transition from active combat roles to other assignments within the military as his mental health deteriorated. West speaks openly about his battles with mental health, PTSD, depression, traumatic brain injury, and addiction. He reveals a dark moment in Jalalabad where he contemplated suicide, sitting with his assault rifle, debating whether to end his life, but ultimately being saved by a Taliban attack on their base. He uses the metaphor of making it to the next meal to describe how he pushed through his darkest times. After completing 15 combat deployments and enduring multiple physical and psychological traumas, West retired from active duty around 2018 to 2019. His journey to sobriety began in late 2019, following a friend confronting his drinking, coupled with his experiences with Ibogane-assisted therapy overseas, a plant-based psychedelic treatment that helped him break addiction and manage PTSD symptoms when conventional approaches failed. West describes founding One More Wave, a nonprofit dedicated to providing adaptive surfboards and surf therapy to wounded veterans. Initially an impromptu project inspired during his volunteer work at a Navy hospital surf clinic, the nonprofit grew into a nationwide movement offering customized boards, community events, and therapeutic surf sessions. One More Wave emphasizes inclusivity, supporting all veterans regardless of discharge status or injury severity. West conveys how surfing and flow state activities offer a crucial therapeutic refuge, allowing veterans to reconnect with life, alleviate pain, and break down isolation. He credits the organization's success to dedicated staff and volunteers, and by fostering community as much as providing sports equipment. Inspired by his own healing journey and a message received during Ibogane therapy, West returned to school to become a licensed mental health therapist. He now practices in Nashville, helping veterans, first responders, and civilians with trauma, addiction, and depression. Using eclectic modalities such as clinical hypnosis, EMDR, and narrative therapy, he emphasizes the importance of connection, presence, and individual fit in therapy. West openly acknowledges the challenges of countertransference, feeling overwhelmed by the pain of clients with backgrounds similar to his own, and thus maintains a balanced caseload. He advocates for veterans and other clients to seek mental health care actively, to push past stigma, and to be patient in finding the right therapeutic relationship. West is a vocal advocate for Ibogane and psychedelic-assisted therapies, which he credits with transforming his own recovery. His involvement in advocacy includes Tennessee's Hope Treatment Act and support for clinical trials of Ibogane in America. He discusses the growing recognition of psychedelics' potential to treat addiction, PTSD, traumatic brain injury, and mental health issues with greater efficacy than traditional medication. West highlights working alongside fellow veterans and activists, including Tennessee's grassroots efforts and national organizations pushing for regulatory reform. He underscores the importance of science-based evidence to gain wider acceptance and access. Throughout the interview, West interweaves reflections on the complexities of military service, trauma, loss, and healing. He touches on the generational similarity between his father's Vietnam experience and his own with the GDOWAT, especially in terms of struggles with PTSD and substance abuse. West stresses the essential role of community, whether military brotherhood, veteran support groups, or surf therapy, to overcoming isolation caused by trauma. He shares powerful stories from combat and personal loss to emphasize the human cost of war beyond medals and missions. In his new roles, West seeks to help others find meaning, hope, and recovery by blending practical therapies with the camaraderie and resilience he found necessary during his time in service. The interview is rich with vivid personal anecdotes, from climbing pyramids illegally as a youth to harrowing combat moments such as narrowly escaping a grenade in a trench or surviving multiple helicopter crashes. West's storytelling conveys the intensity of war, the bonds of brotherhood, and the moments of humanity amid chaos, such as his encounter with the young girl in the Bin Laden compound. He openly discusses his internal battles with imposter syndrome, self-doubt, and guilt, illustrating the emotional complexity of life as a combat veteran. These stories provide listeners with an intimate window into the experiences behind headlines and military legend. West also details a philanthropic effort to equip a financially challenged sheriff's department with modern rifles and suppressors, highlighting his commitment to supporting first responders outside of military circles. Partnering with companies like SIG and Silencer Shop, West helped outfit officers with reliable, state-of-the-art equipment, emphasizing the importance of quality gear for those serving in roles that involve frequent, high-risk encounters. Today, Alex West balances his work as a mental health therapist with ongoing support for veterans through One More Wave and his advocacy around psychedelic therapies. He reflects on missing aspects of his military life, but acknowledges that moving forward is essential to doing his best work now. West provides ongoing support for the community of military men and women who struggle psychologically, offering encouragement for seeking help, engaging in community, and embracing new healing modalities. His story is one of resilience, reinvention, and commitment to service, both on and off the battlefield.